Their show is called Bubba the Cowboy Prince, a fractured Texas tale. Who gets this? Who gets this? Oh, she's at the end. Okay. The last one in gets the microphone.
This is Bubba the Cowboy Prince, a fractured Texas tale. Once, a strapping young feller named Bubba lived on a ranch with his wicked stepdaddy and his hateful and lazy stepbrothers, Dwayne and Milton. Now, Bubba's stepdaddy spoiled Dwayne and Milton no end. But Bubba worked from sunup to sundown, doing the chores of 3 ranch hands. Bubba never complained, though. He loved ranching. Dwayne and Milton spent their days sitting on horseback and bossing Bubba around.
Bubba, get them doggies along there, Bubba. Just move, Bubba. Move.
Yeah, and watch out for them cow patties. You know how that takes for them to be tracked in the house.
Now, Miss Lurleen, who lived down the road a piece, was the prettiest and richest gal in the county. She owned the biggest spread west of the Brazos, and she loved ranching too. But it was lonesome work, and after a while, she decided it was time for some companionship.
I aim to find myself a fella, one who loves ranching as much as I do. Wouldn't hurt if he were as cute as a cow's ear either. I think I'll throw me a hoedown. I'll send invites to all the ranchers in Texas.
Soon, the day of the hoedown arrived. Milton and Dwayne spent all day getting gussied up in their finest duds. Bubba about ran himself ragged, waiting on them.
Bubba, fetch me my bowl.
Bubba, give me my boot polish.
Bubba, brush them horses and wash that wagon.
By the time Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy were ready to go, Bubba was exhausted. Still, as they climbed into the wagon, Bubba asked,
"Can't you wait for me to get ready? I want to dance with Miss Lurleen, too."
Dwayne and Milton, their wicked daddy, hooted and hollered.
Can you imagine Miss Lurleen dancing? It's a lot to see you.
Why, you look surrier than a steer in a stockyard.
Miss Lurleen wouldn't even wipe the dirt clods off her boots with that raggedy shirt of yours. And you smell more like cattle than cattle do.
Bubba took a look at himself. It was true. He didn't have a decent shirt to wear, and his boots were downright disgraceful. He did smell a bit rough. Milton and Dwayne were right. Miss Lurleen wouldn't want to dance with the likes of him. Bubba hung his head. He felt lower than a rattlesnake in a gully. As Milton and Dwayne and their wicked daddy went on off to the hoedown, Bubba mounted his horse and headed for the pasture to check on the herd. It looked like a Texas thunderstorm was brewing. The sky was getting darker than a black bull at midnight. Bubba had just arrived at the cow pasture when a bolt of lightning struck, knocking him clean off his horse. For a moment, Bubba was stunned, but when he picked himself up, he heard,
Go to the ball, Bubba.
Bubba looked around. No one was there except him and the cows. Now, Bubba figured he'd bonked the bejeebers out of his bean because the voice was coming from a cow. She chewed her cud for a moment, then said,
I'm your fairy god cow, and I can help you go to the hoedown.
I'd like to go, Mr. God Cow, but shoot, I don't have a thing to wear. Except a dress.
The fairy god cow switched her tail, and Bubba's raggedy clothes changed into the handsomest cowboy duds he'd ever laid his eyes on. His jeans were crisp, his boots were shiny, his shirt was dazzling, and his Stetson was more turquoise than Turquoise Camel.
What?
Isn't that you? Yahoo! I'm off to the hoedown.
The fairy god cow swished her tail again, and a nearby steer turned into the most beautiful personality you could ever hope to see.
Now you can go to the hoedown, Bubba, and have a good time dancing with Miss Lorraine. But you must be home by midnight, because that's when all the magic runs out.
Yahoo! I'm going.
When Bubba arrived, the hoedown was in full swing. But every time Miss Lurleen finished a dance, she yawned.
There goes another $10 Stetson on a 5-cent head. Where are all the real cowboys?
By the time Bubba's turn to dance with Miss Lurleen came around, it was almost midnight. Soon as she saw Bubba, Miss Lurleen's eyes lit up.
Why, you're as cute as a cow's ear.
Bubba blushed. Then he took Miss Lurleen in his arms and started dancing. Dwayne and Milton turned purple with jealousy.
Well, who's that dude?
I don't reckon I've ever seen him before, but he looks like familiar.
Do something! I'm powerless, Miss Lorraine's heart! I'm trying to do something, but it just ain't working.
As it turned out, Milton and Dwayne didn't have to do a thing, because Bubba and Miss Lurleen were in the middle of a do-si-doing when the clock struck midnight. And suddenly, Bubba's fine duds turned into the dirty rags he usually wore. He looked sorry, and he smelled even worse.
What's that awful smell?
Is it Bubba? I guess so. Must be Bubba.
Bubba turned 14 shades of red, apologized to Miss Lurleen, and ran out of the hotel.
Wait!
But Bubba didn't wait. He jumped on his cow and lumbered off into the night. In all the ruckus, he lost one of his dirty, smelly boots. Miss Lurleen clasped it in her arms.
This is the boot of a real cowboy and the man I want to marry. I aim to find him.
Miss Lurleen went back inside and asked everybody who the mysterious cowboy was, but nobody knew. Nobody except Milton and Dwayne and their wicked daddy, that is, but they weren't talking. The next day, Miss Lurleen went from ranch to ranch looking for the cowboy who owned the boot. When she came to Dwayne and Milton, they both tried to push their clodhoppers into the boot, but it didn't fit. Miss Lurleen had just climbed on her horse to leave when Bubba rode up. He was dirty and sweaty and smelly from working with the cows, and he was wearing only one boot. Miss Lurleen jumped off her horse and ran over to Bubba.
Try this on. Much obliged, man. Thanks for returning my boot.
You're my prince in cowboy boots. I'd recognize that smell anywhere. Marry me, cowboy, and help me work my ranch.
Dwayne and Milton and wicked stepdaddy threw chicken fits. But Bubba just smiled. He and Miss Lurleen rode off into the sunset. They lived happily ever after, roping, cowpoking, and getting in trouble.
Yeah. Ha.